Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the September 9th, 2025 regular board meeting of the Richland 2 Board of Trustees to order. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. As we step into the fall season, we're reminded that this time of year is all about change in the colors around us, in the pace of our days, and in the rhythm of our schools. It is a season that asks us to slow down, reflect, and prepare for what's next. In that spirit, I want to share a quote from an author, Brene Brown, who said, "Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. In education and in leadership, we are constantly being asked to try new things, to listen deeply and to grow together, even when the path isn't always clear. Tonight, let's approach our work with openness, humility, and the courage to move forward, even when it means stepping into the unknown." Thank you all for being here and for continuing to invest your time, your energy, and your heart into this important work. We will now ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. We'll move on now to item 3.1, approval of the agenda. The agenda for tonight's meeting has been published and made available to the public. May I please have a motion regarding the approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Washington.
I move to approve the agenda for the September 9th, 2025 regular board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Washington and seconded by Ms. Williams. Once that is on the screen, if Ms. Washington, if you will just confirm that that is correct. All right, is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, board members, please vote. Oops, guess I gotta open it up. All right, the vote is 6 yes and 1 not present. Ms. Porter is actually on some official school board business, and she is on her way back from DC. So we look forward to hearing all about her trip and all the things that she learned and come back and share with us. All right, so the vote again is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Moving on to item 4.1, executive session. May I please have a motion to go into executive session?
Madam Chair,
Dr. Elkin Scott?
yes, I move to convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing student admission requests into the district's adult education program, requests at home instruction, employment recommendations, and certified releases, and receipt of legal advice, superintendent's evaluation.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Dr. Elkin Scott and seconded by Mr. Dennis. Is there any discussion? Okay, there being no discussion, Dr. Elkin Scott, can you confirm that that is correct on the screen?
That is correct.
All right, board members, please vote. All right, the vote is 6 yes and 1 not present. The motion passes. We will now enter into executive session.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Dennis?
I move that we adjourn executive session at 6:29 p.m. and resume public session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any, is there any discussion? All right, the motion has been made by Mr. Dennis and seconded by Ms. Washington. If that is correct on the screen, board members, please vote.
That is correct.
All right, board members, please vote. No, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right, 6:29. Okay. All right. All right, the vote is 6 yes, 1 not present. We spoke about it earlier, but Miss Porter is actually on school board business, and she is on a plane coming back from DC. So we look forward to hearing all of what she learned and sharing with us in the future. All right, next we will move on to item 5.0, inspirational moment. Ms. Tamika Washington, will you introduce this evening's guest to the board?
Board members and Richland 2 family, I'd like to welcome the Red Hawks as our inspirational moment tonight. Under the leadership of Dr. Tamika Nicholson, Westwood High is encouraging scholars to rise as intentional leaders, intentional learners, effective leaders, and skillful designers who are prepared for optimal success. We will have Dr. Nicholson and her staff come forward.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, our superintendent, distinguished guests, and the Richland 2 family. At Westwood High School, the future isn't something we just talk about. It's something we put into practice, hour by hour, internship by internship. Together at Westwood, we're proud to celebrate our state's Workforce Development Month and the power of internships that can turn potential into progress. Last year, our Red Hawks logged over 1,768 off-campus internship hours, stepping beyond the classroom into the world of work. Behind every success are our parents, partners, and industries whose mentorship gives our students wings to soar, turning textbooks into time cards and lessons into labor, and more importantly, the one they like, potential into paychecks. At Westwood, the castle isn't where it ends. However, it is where it all begins. And tonight, you'll hear that story told through the voices of the classes of 2024, 25, and 26. Because of this, our Red Hawks are turning learning into doing, chances into choices, and support into success. So at this time, I'm proud to introduce the Red Hawks that are making this happen. Along with their internship hosts and parents are Mr. Nathan Thompson, Mr. Dominique Moore, and Mr. Cameron Miller.
Good evening. My name is Nathan Thompson, class of 2024. I'm proud to share how Westwood High, CTE, and internship programs launched me toward a career in real estate as well. Through the Red Hawks Ready to Work internship program, I interned with Excel by LPT Realty under Mr. and Mrs. McEwen, learning property management to client relations as well. While at Westwood, this opportunity began with a conversation with my basketball coach, Mr. Robinson, and my Gear Up coordinator, Ms. Williams, and later it became a formal internship through a memorandum agreement as well. Alongside with my internship in high school, I did some accounting courses to complete my CTE as well, and was a CATE completer when I graduated. And I also finished my real estate courses paid for by them as well. So now I'm waiting to take my real estate license to get that as well. Today, I'm a sophomore at Claflin University, majoring in business administration with a minor in cybersecurity as well. And the skills and preparation I gained at Westwood continue to push me forward, and I'm honored to represent our Beyond the Castle vision in this Workforce Development Month. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dominic Moore, class of 2025. I'm honored to chair our Westwood's internship and CTE program has prepared me for a career in healthcare. My internship experience included Lexington Health Northeast by the Ways of Women's Healthcare of Sandhills under the guidance of Ms. Marquita Gaines and Ms. Letha Cathcart, where I gained hands-on knowledge of patient care I also completed 48 hours of internship experience while being a CTE completer in emergency medical systems. Sorry. By graduation, I had already earned certificates as a medical assistant, emergency medical responder, and phlebotomy technician, as well as my CPR and CERT certification. These credentials, paired with my internship experience, gave me the readiness to step directly into the medical field. Today, I'm studying nursing at Midlands Technical College while working at Lexington Health. The pathways I built at Westwood gave me the foundation to start strong in my profession, and I am proud to represent Beyond the Castle Vision during Workforce Development Month. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Miller, class of 2026. I've been passionate about funeral services since the age of 9, beginning in Manning, South Carolina. At the close of my junior year, I reached out to the Red Hawks Ready to Work program, there where I connected with J.P. Holly Funeral Home and Crematory. With the signed agreement, I began a paid internship this summer where I learned to provide caring and compassionate services to our community, just one family at a time. I'm also a CTE completer in emergency medical services, also the director and producer for Westwood's media production program. To continue my journey, after graduation, I plan to attend Piedmont Technical College to pursue my degree in mortuary science. In my conclusion, this internship is providing me with the hands-on experience, enhancing my knowledge and skills needing me to step in my future with certainty. I'm beyond grateful to represent J.P. Holly Funeral Home, and I'm beyond proud to see that West was beyond the castle vision. Thank you.
In closing, I will say that as a proud principal of Westwood High School, my heart is smiling, my spirit is full because of all of the exciting things that's happening at Westwood High School. But all of this happens because you all have casted a vision, our students have caught the vision. With the support of our staff, our parents, and our community, our students are indeed positioned for optimal success. So thank you all for your continued support, your guidance, your partnership, and your leadership. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Westwood High School. We really enjoyed your presentation, and congratulations to all of you and your hard work. And I must personally say, like, the McEwens, thank you for all that you do for the community as fellow Realtor friends and fearless leaders. We are so thankful that you guys would do that and representing our Realtor community so well. So thank you for that. All right, we will now move on to item 6.0, the consent agenda. May I please have a motion regarding the approval of the consent agenda?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Washington?
I move to approve the consent agenda for the September 9th, 2025 regular board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Washington and seconded by Mr. Trapp. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, if that, once it hits the screen, is correct, Ms. Washington, let us know, and then if so, then we will vote. All right, board members, please vote. The vote is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Moving on, we do not have anybody, I believe, for public participation, so we will now move on to item 8.0, voting executive session items. May I please have a motion on the student admission request into the district's adult education program?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Dennis.
I move to approve the student submission request into the district's adult education program for students 1 through 6.
Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Mr. Dennis and second by Mr. Washington. Ms. Washington, is there any discussion? All right, is that correct on the screen, Mr. Dennis?
That is correct.
All right, board members, please vote. The motion is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. Moving on to item 8.2, request for at-home instruction. May I please have a motion for regarding the request for at-home instruction?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Williams,
I move to approve the request for the at-home instruction as presented.
is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Williams and seconded by Mr. Dennis. Is there any discussion? All right, Ms. Williams, is that correct on the screen? All right, if so, board members, please vote. The motion is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. We're moving on to item 8.3, employment recommendations and certified releases. May I please have a motion regarding employment recommendations and certified releases?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Trapp,
I move to approve the employment recommendations and certified releases as presented.
is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Mr. Trapp and seconded by Dr. Elkins Scott. Is there any discussion? Mr. Trapp, is that correct on the screen?
Yes.
All right, there being no discussion, board members, please vote. The motion is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. We don't have any items for 8.4 as the items for discussed in executive session, so we will move on to item 9.1, change of the time for September 23rd, 2025 regular scheduled board meeting to 4:30. May I please have a motion regarding the change of the time for the September 23rd meeting to 4:30?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Washington?
I move to change the scheduled start time of the September 23rd, 2025 regular board meeting from 5:30 to 4:30 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made by Ms. Washington and seconded by Dr. Elkins Scott. Is there any discussion? Ms. Washington, is your motion correct on the screen? Yes. All right. There being no discussion and that being correct, board members, please vote. The motion is 6 yes, 1 not present. The motion passes. We will now move on to item 10 and 10.1, board reports. So let's see what we have first. Okay, perfect. All right, 10.1, policy committee updates. So this agenda item is in the section of policy committee updates. Ms. Tamika Washington will be presenting today. She needs somebody to give her the power.
All right, so let's give some updates on our policy committee. So the last major updates for our policies were back in 2017 through 2023. The board actually did an overhaul of policies during that time, and I believe majority of the policies were updated then. So we are in need of doing some policy reviews. There are 250 plus policies that govern Richland too. That's a lot. And so the three actions that will be taken this year related to policies will be board-directed policies, and these are requests from the board directing administration to make recommendations to present to the board. We will also have those legislative updates, and those mandates require us, based off of the 2025 legislative bills, that we have to update either current policies or adopt new policies. For example, we have to adopt a new policy mandated by the state of South Carolina regarding live streaming, and we have that on our timeline. And then we have content and editorial reviews, policy changes that'll be made. And again, that's just updating some content or editorial needs. For example, you may see some language that's inconsistent in policies, and to make that language consistent across the board, those type of changes will be made. Policies will require readings at both board meetings. So this, starting this school year, we implemented a new board structure in terms of our meetings, where our first meeting is related to reports and updates from the board and superintendent, and then our second meeting, we're actually getting reports from administration and going over some additional items. But in both of those meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays, we will have to have readings presented to us. The board will have time in between to review and request those updates, and then the committee will also seek input as needed for some policies. For example, AI is the hottest thing on the block right now. And so we know that we need to implement a policy related to that. That will require us to get stakeholder input from teachers, students, parents, and a variety of people before we even put a policy in place. So some of our next steps will include, we have several policies that are slated for review for this fall and approval. The board will submit any additional policies that they would like for us to review, because again, board requests, those are board directed. And I'll tell you, some of the policies that we've just talked about starting at the start of 2025 is looking at our facility rentals policy, looking at our discipline policies, looking at bullying, looking at our policies for contract reviews. And so those are some of the things that are currently on the list, but we will add to it, just asking board members to submit any additional policies by September the 15th. And then we are going to document this process so that we can make recommendations for future committee reviews, including timelines and how things should be presented to the public and to the board. I have a little section called Coming In Hot, because listen, these policies are coming in hot. Want to give a shout out, first of all, to Human Resources, because they already knew that there were several requests, and they've already started talking about what policies they need to address. So all of the G policies will be addressed and reviewed. All of our I instruction policies are policies that we need to go through and review. J, and those two there, I and J, were recommendations from our board, from the school board attorney. You see the AI policy that I just talked about, and then another one that has been a hot topic among school boards across the state is the policy BEA for live streaming. And so we'll meet again and we'll talk about where administration is and what they'll submit over for recommendations, and then we'll let the board know and the public know what policies will be coming in hot in the future. And that is our policy. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Franklin, because she is super organized in getting all of this information together, and even reaching out to our school board association for some direction as well. And so with that being said, that is our policy committee update.
I mean, that was stellar. Thank you. And it looks really great, too. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. That looks amazing. So as you guys can hear, we're doing a lot of things where we're really trying to get organized and take things step by step. As they say, like, what is it like? Which is a weird saying, but eat the elephant one at a time or something. Yes, I don't know who's doing that, but all right. Well, next up, we had an extraordinary start to the school year, but one of our board members took the challenge from Mission Impossible to Mission Possible, which was our theme for the board this year, to the next level. And so one of our very own board members, Dr. Monica Elkins-Scott, who's also serves as our secretary, took the challenge to heart and visited every school in the district in 7 days. So, and on the 8th day she rested. And so we look at that, that's not just commitment, that's leadership in action. And so tonight, she's gonna give us a recap of her journey, what she saw, what she heard, and most importantly, what's possible when we stay connected to our schools, our students, and our mission. So please, Dr. Elkin Scott, share with us.
Thank you so much for that. But before I get started, young people, this is an example of what our future is going to look like, which I am so excited and amazed at just the accomplishments that you guys already have at such a young age. So the future is bright. The future is bright. And I hope people are watching, especially the news, because they always have so many negative things to say about what our young people are not doing. And you guys have just proved to them that you're doing it, and you're doing it bad. So thank you, bad good. So thank you so much for that. But as Ms. Nash said, last year I was the board chair, and I had the theme with boots on the ground. And I was gonna have you guys get up and do that dance, but I decided that we won't do that because I want to know, where those fans at? Anybody have fans? But we just won't do that. I will just stick to this. But I had an opportunity with boots on the ground that all of my colleagues, we really put boots on the ground, and we were not playing last year. With Ms. Nash now taking over as chair, she decided that we're going to change that to Mission Impossible / Mission Possible. So I love a good challenge. If you know me, I love that. So I decided to create missions that is beneficial for not only me, but for all of us, because we all have different schedules. Some are pretty flexible, some are not. But the thing for me is with the mission is no big I's and little U's. The mission is for the team. So if one can do it, do it. If all can do it, that's even better. So my first mission for the first month, which I didn't have to use the entire month, was to visit all 40 schools. Not only 40 schools, but the transportation bus hubs, Family Intervention Center, support services, and a board virtual school, W.G. Rogers, our adult learning center, R2I2, the department's here, and they were looking at me like, what is she doing up on the floor? So I had an opportunity to see people I have not seen in a while, and some that I see every 2 weeks here. Also had an opportunity to go and visit so many wonderful classes that's housed right here in this building, which is now called the Student Innovation Center. The mission has been so rewarding in so many ways. During my visit, I had the opportunity to have principals following my social media looking like, where's Waldo? And anticipating when I was going to visit their school. And when I got there, they would say, I knew you would be here either today or tomorrow. So I said, I guess we're playing Where's Waldo? As I heard Pastor Jamal Bryant say, and he's one of my favorite pastors, he said to his congregation when he was speaking about tithing, he said, don't give to be seen, but it's great to be seen giving. I took that and I changed it around. I didn't visit to be seen, but it was great to be seen visiting, because I was able to witness laughter, joy, student center and hands-on activities, small group instruction, team collaborative planning meetings, smiles, innovative teaching that enhance student engagement, critical thinking, student-led conversations, personalized learning, technology integration, real-world applications, students. Oh, I love this part. Right here in R2I2, we had a group of students who were actually creating Braille instructions that they're going to give to the visually impaired. How powerful is that? Had a chance to visit Recess and almost went down the slide, but I figured Dr. Moore probably would not like that. Yeah. Workers' comp, I remember. So I said, no, I think I'll just watch, because one little girl said, you can do it. And I said, I can. You're right, I can, but I won't. Had a chance to see the coordinator of the arts do meal preparation to feed the staff. Buses arriving safely to drop off our students. I saw clean buildings, shiny floors, and I had an opportunity to eat some delicious food. If you have not eaten in the cafeteria, you are missing a treat. The food is yummy, yummy to your tummy, as my nephew says. But I want to give a few shout outs. First, to the ambassador, Danny, from Forest Lake Elementary. I asked Danny to show me around Forest Lake, and I said to her, I said, I'm on a time limit. So if you can just show me maybe 2 or 3 things that's great about your school, that would be so amazing. Danny stopped, looked at me, and she said, ma'am, you need more time. And she was serious. She said, everything about Forest Lake is great. So 45 minutes later, she was right. Everything was great. I had an opportunity to visit one of the 5th grade classes who actually created rockets and was measuring the distance. It was so cool. I had a chance to pretend like I was flying. It was just so amazing. So, shout out also to one of my students at Polo Row. And you'll notice I have on my Polo Row Elementary School because this is a great way to save laundry. I have decided that, you know what, I visited all these schools. Why not start representing them with a pair of pants and watch your laundry bill be cut short? And you're representing the schools. So in Dr. Vertigo's class, they were actually reading a book that's called Fish in a Tree. So I sat with one of the teams and I said, gosh, I love reading. Can you share with me what's going on? She said, well, only if you have about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm like, where did these students come from? And I said, of course. So she went on to tell me about everything that was going on in the book and how it related to her personally. And not only how it related to her personally, she could find characters in that book as well as other parts. And she would say, you know, I think this character kind of reminds me of the little boy. You see the little boy sitting over there? Sometimes he's like this. And I was like, oh, you're making real world connections. I love that. So she continued to go on. But the one thing that I love that the teacher, Dr. Vertigo, shared with me was one of the quotes from the book. And the quote said, when people have low expectations of you, you can sometimes use that to your advantage, as long as you don't have low expectations of yourself. So with that, I took the students' advice, purchased the book, Fish in a Tree. I would recommend that you do that, because the one thing that I truly love about elementary books, and you all know that if you worked in an elementary school or even visited, it's real world. You can make so many connections, real life connections through those books. So with that, Madam Chair, it is fair to say that my mission was possible and also accomplished through the wonderful students, faculty, and staff and leadership team and superintendent that we have in Richland School District 2. Thank you so much for your time.
That was awesome. Now, I am a person who would challenge you to go down the slide, but let's just do it when school's out. And then everybody can go down one. No, okay, Dr. Moore is saying no, I guess because we don't get workers' comp. So we will not do that. Okay, fine. But everybody sounds like they want to do it. We'll let you guys know where we're going to do that. Bring your cameras for TikTok videos. All right. So next up, we have our superintendent report. And so this item is going to be where Dr. Moore, our superintendent, is going to give us, present to the board and to the public. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the answer is still no on the slide, but I am so excited to hear your report, Dr. Scott, because yes, the students will. I had that same experience at Forest Lake, and I kept trying to redirect her, and she had no part of it. She had a script, and she's checking things off, and 45 minutes later, I left the building. But we are here tonight to talk about back to school. And as everybody knows, I'm very excited because school has started. In fact, I was out visiting schools today and had a good time at the home of the Red Hawks today when I went there to visit. So today we're going to talk about the back to school. We will also, as the board has requested, give a SPED hiring update and a budget update on our general fund. So let's start with our purpose in Richland 2, because we are purpose-driven so that our students will be future-ready. Why is this so important? We want each and every one of our students to be able to say with confidence and pride that I am connected, that I am engaged, I am supported, and I am achieving. And I think our Red Hawks modeled that for us tonight with their career aspirations. And I just have to give a shout out to one of them, and that is Mr. Cameron, because I met him today when I was walking the halls. He had on a different jacket and was dressed like, not quite to the level he is tonight, but was very engaging, told me what he's going to do, and I was like, wow, I'm impressed. So I think he's probably connected, engaged, supported, and definitely achieving. Why are these so important to us? Because we are here to serve every child that we have the privilege to educate. And we embody that in our core values of belonging, learning, continuous improvement, and joy. So that is our focus in Richland 2. So where are we at? Here's our total enrollment. We're a little over 28,000 students. There's our demographics that you see there with 63.2% being African American, 14% white, roughly almost 14% Hispanic, and about 2.6% for our Asian population. We have in our 20 elementary schools that Dr. Scott visited, 12,952 students. 7 middle schools, which he also visited. We have over 6,000 students, close to 6,500. And in our 5 high schools, we have about 8,700 students, close to 8,800 students. We have over 58 languages spoken in our school district, which is remarkable. That we are that diverse. With that, we have our multilingual learners, and we're at about 6.4%. Our students with IEPs, now in Power Schools, it is 12.3%, but that number is actually higher as we have been going out and identifying more students. And so at the next update, you'll get the more current numbers. But what we currently are sitting at officially is at 12.3. And then our pupils in poverty, we're at 64.3%. Now, if you look at this map, you will see where our students are, and it's basically throughout our district. There are some areas that have a larger population of students, but as you can see from that heat map that is up there, we do have poverty across the entire school district. When we look at our students that are in poverty, I want you to notice that over the last 6 years, we've had a significant increase in our poverty rate. We were in 2021, we were at 58.8%, and we are now currently at 64.3%. And while that is a significant increase, we also recognize that that is not an excuse. Each one of our students can excel, and we are doing that, and our students are doing that. And we don't let poverty define who our students are or what we do. But we do recognize that it is one of the indicators that impacts academic achievement, which then is compounded by student mobility. Because when people are facing being unhoused, they're then relocated. But we are so blessed in Richland, too, to have a strong support system in our district through our social workers and through our psychologists, through each and one of our schools with their LSS support systems in place, through our leadership and our faculty and staff in the building. We have done a lot of work this year. We've shared with the board around our chronic absenteeism. We are well below the state average, but that comes from the work that's done every single day by each and every person in our school buildings, as well as everyone at the district level. With mobility, as you can see, we do have some high rates, especially in our elementary schools. And why is that more important? Is because that's the foundation of learning. And so at almost 28%, that is significant. And then as we move up, we see that it goes up in middle school, and then at high school at almost 40% of our students are changing schools. That's a lot. But I'm confident with the work that we have done through our academic department with our 4 focuses this year, with the primary focus being on PLCs, our teachers are prepared and ready to meet our students where they are every single day. I had the privilege today of visiting a strong PLC at one of our elementary schools at Bethel Hanbury, where they were going, the principal was leading the data talk around, here's our initial data. We don't have all of our SC ready data at this point, but the initial data, he was leading them through it. They were brainstorming and talking about solutions. And even at schools that we think that don't have mobility, like a Bethel Hanbury, they do have a high mobility rate that's impacting what they do every day. But we have recognized this problem and we've put strategies in place to address that. We are also very proud of the fact that we are a military-affiliated district. As you know, we are a Purple Star district, a Purple Heart district, and that is because we're blessed to have Fort Jackson in our backyard. And we are 12.3% of all of our students are military connected. We actually have the highest military connected rate in South Carolina. And we are very proud to be great partners with Fort Jackson, with our men and women who have chosen to put on the uniform and serve our nation. But we also want to make sure that we serve their children. Because as a retired military person myself, I chose to serve. My children were born into service. They didn't ask to be born. And I know we have several board members like Dr. Scott, who are military children, and Mr. Dennis, who is also retired. We know the struggles that our families face as military personnel, moving 8, 9 times in their educational career. It's a lot. But we take pride in meeting our students where they are and providing them with great service to our family. Here's some more information about our military affiliated students, and we're blessed to have with us tonight Mr. Fred back there. Wave your hand, Fred. Fred is our connection at Fort Jackson, and he works very closely with Kelsey Carter. But as you can see, our highest military affiliated schools at each level are Blythewood High School, Blythewood Middle, and Pontiac Elementary School. And so we make sure that we are providing that support. 17% of all military children in South Carolina attend Richland 2 school. Next, I want to transition to our work that we have done this past summer on HR. That was a focus that the board had as a goal, as well as one of my focuses. And so as you can see, we made some significant progress. Dr. Foster and his team, combined with our awesome communication team, came up with a very strong communication program that was to discuss our value add. Because we know that if we focus on retention first, then our teachers and our staff in school will be very excited to go out and recruit for us. So as you can see this year, we started off with only 27 teacher vacancies, certified, not just teachers, certified, and 47 classified, which is a significant decrease from where we were last year. So we are very proud of that, and that goes to the hard work of our HR department, as well as our communication team, and then each and every one of our schools for the work that they did. Our principals were busy this summer, working very hard, utilizing teams of people, not just them making those decisions, to ensure that we had a certified teacher in the classroom for our students, because that's what they deserve. We still have some other positions that we worked hard to fill and some that we haven't filled. So we are still looking for some more speech pathologists, academic interventionists, a school counselor, and psychologists, but we are actively recruiting for that. Now, this is my favorite part of the back to school, and normally Mr. Anderson gets to deliver these wonderful facts, but I get to share them today, and I love this because some of it's some science in there, so I hope you're ready to learn about some science. But notice, our buildings, and I know Dr. Scott spoke about it, our buildings, I'm telling you, were looking magnificent. The work that was done over the summer, and keep in mind, the buildings weren't empty. So our custodial staff had to work around a lot of summer training that was taking place for teachers. We had summer programs in there in our schools, but on the first day of school, those schools were looking phenomenal. And even today, when I walked the halls of 7 schools that I went to, they were just awesome. 972 gallons of wax. We replaced 550 toilet paper and paper towel dispensers. We're going to work on that so that students understand that that's money that could be spent somewhere else. But we had to spend it on replacement. We completed over 12,000 work orders. And out of that 12,000, because air conditioning is very important in South Carolina, over 2,000 of it was HVAC work orders. That is a lot of work. And I know people don't realize this, because people have said to me this summer when they've seen me at Walmart and been plenty other places that I go, they're like, oh, have you been on vacation? And I'm like, no. And they're like, you work? I'm like, yes. They're like, but school's out. I said, but we still work. We are working 12 months, 24/7 to make sure we're ready for students to come back. We've served, as of today, over 6,600 meals. And that was just breakfast. We have done over 14,000 meals per day for lunch. And Dr. Scott is right. 174, because I'm telling you, the meals have been a hit with our students. I'm not sure about the jalapeno pizza, but not one of my personal favorites, but I will say I'm really enjoying the sparkling fruit cans. Miss Nash, you know, you and I are sparkling water people. Oh, they are good. Every time I go, and I go into the cafeteria, I put it on the principal's tab, just a secret for you. Just tell them, put it on the principal's tab, but it's really tasty. Here's where our science lesson comes in. To go to the moon, it is, because we're talking about going to the moon again as a nation, it is 238,855 miles. Well, when you look at the number of miles that our student transportation specialists have driven, we have gone to the moon. How many times? We've made 8.9 trips to the moon. I think Elon Musk needs to come and talk to us about how to get to the moon, because we know how to get there. We have driven that many miles. We are very excited about what our student transportation specialists do. I had the privilege of riding a bus the first day of school. I did that last year too. Our communication senior chief said she lost control of me, but she didn't. I already knew where I was. She just didn't know. But I was on the bus with students, and I will say that our student transportation specialists do a wonderful job. Now to transition again. We are so grateful. In the budget the board approved for this school year, the board recognized our need to increase the number of special education staff to support our students, because we know that number has increased. And so to give the board an update on where we're at, the board had approved 29 positions. And as you can see, we have filled 20 of those positions. Ms. McLaughlin has been working very hard along with our HR personnel, and our principals have been on it. If you give them a vacancy, I'm telling you, they try their best to fill it as quickly as possible, afraid that I may pull it back and do something else with it. But we're very pleased with the work that has been done, because that means our students are getting the support that they need to achieve. Because in Richland too, we serve each student that we have the privilege to educate. But also what we're very excited about is the fact that we are working to provide our teachers with additional support with their office professionals, to take some of that administrative responsibility off their plate so they can do the work that they have been trained to do for our students. Now, we will transition to our budget update. The board has asked for an update on a monthly update on our general revenue. And so Matthew's going to pull that up for me because that's on a different, in a different document. And we're going to start, I know that's very small for the audience, but it is available in board docs, so you can go back at a later time and review that. And we're going to start with looking at our general fund. So I will be talking about the district's financial activity as of July 31st of 2025. So the first category that you will see relates to our local property tax revenue. We have received $1,941,318, or 1.4% of our anticipated revenue. Now, we typically start receiving property tax relief revenue in October. And just for the public's knowledge, this is the sales tax revenue that we received to replace the revenue we would have received if we were still allowed to tax owner-occupied property, and that's Acts 388. So when you consider our revenue from interest and other sources like facility rentals, we've received about 1.2% of our anticipated local revenue, which is $2,344,724. As it relates to revenue from state sources, we've received $13,180,987, or about 8% of our anticipated revenue for the year. When we consider transfers from State Education Improvement Act funds to the general fund, we're at, we received $18,046,397 at the end of July, which equates to 4.3% of the anticipated revenue for the year. We've expended $8,049,893, or 2% of our general fund that on budgeted expenditures as of the end of July. Now, please note that the July expenditures for salary and fringe are lower than any other point during the year, and that is because only 2 45 days and 2 25-day employees are charged to the July budget, and that is for the first pay periods in the new fiscal year. Also, please note that the utilities are temporarily negative because utility charges are for the June's service, so the payment has to be accrued for record back to June 30th. Transfers to other funds like our $11.5 million for capital projects will be done in the upcoming months. Also, please keep in mind that these numbers may change because we are currently still going through our audit and still closing out books. On this next chart, what you're going to see here is it tracks the revenue received in July over 3 fiscal years. So we wanted you to be able to see kind of where we've been at for the last 3 years. Our state revenue and transfers, they're fairly consistent from year to year. Local revenue received in July of FY25 was much higher. And the reason for that is we had more local revenue that we received from facility rentals during the summer of FY25. And because that was higher, that's why you see that significant increase in the local area. On the next chart, you will see how we track our expenditures that occurred in July across various categories. So we gave you a 3-year chart so that you could see what the difference has been. Salary and fringe are pretty consistent year over year because remember, in July, it's just personnel that are pretty much year-round. Expenditures for property contract and expenditures for FY26 are consistent with where we were last year at this time. And let me just explain what that means when I say fiscal year FY26. FY26 for financial purposes starts in July of 2025 because it goes through that year. So while we are actually in FY25, from an auditor and a financial standpoint, they categorize that as FY26, okay? Now, this chart also, go back. You're right, Matthew, thank you. I was not right, Matthew. All right. On this particular chart that you see, or data that you see, this is our general fund unaudited as a percent of the general fund budget. So what this chart provides is the district's total fund balance per month, and it is a percentage of our total budget. So I would like for you to please note that these monthly amounts and percentages are, once again, unaudited. Remember, the auditors are in our district now, and the board will receive their audit report as we normally give in the latter part of the year. The district is also required to report the monthly fund balance numbers to the South Carolina Department of Education. So you will notice that the July FY26, even though it is 25 year, fund balance is calculated to be 127,356 and 127,356,366. And this is about 31% of our general fund budget, which equates to approximately 3.7 months of expenditures. Now, state law requires us to maintain, next slide, in our fund balance, we're required to maintain 1 month, which is 8.33%. Board policy requires at least 2 months, which is 16.66%. And for our bond rating agencies, they require us to maintain at least 20%, which is 2.4%. When you look at our Richland 2 total fund balance, general fund, unaudited, as of July 31st of 2025, you'll see that this chart provides total fund balance as a percentage of the general fund. This is over a 4-year period. So you will note that our fund balance is lowest around October or November timeframe, and it's highest in the 3rd quarter of the fiscal year. And the reason for that is we don't receive federal funding until October and November. We also have other grants that come in later around that same time. So basically what we have been doing, what we do is our fund balance covers expenditures that we will be reimbursed for at a later date. Also keep in mind, our local revenue from the county does not come in all at one time either. And so that's why you see that dip down into the October, November timeframe, and then money starts to come in from those other sources, and it goes back up. So an adequate fund balance not only helps us prepare for a rainy day, but it also allows us to handle the fluctuations in our revenue collection throughout the year. Next slide, please. So this slide represents for you our fund balance classification. And you'll notice there are 2 classifications. So with our total fund balance, we have both assigned fund balance and unassigned fund balance. The difference is the assigned fund balance represents the funding the board approved to designate for specific purposes. And remember, during budget season, you approve certain expenditures out of the fund balance. For the audience's benefit, fund balance cannot be used for anything that is a reoccurring cost. It can only be used for things that are a one-time cost. And that also includes, excuse me, the $5 million that was set aside over a few years to balance the budget. So that would be all a part of the assigned, which is the blue area. The unassigned fund balance is available for any purpose, but primarily will be used to ensure we are compliant with state law, board policy, bond requirements, and it can also be used for the rainy day to help cover significant unexpected expenditures, but not reoccurring cost. Next slide. Our current investment in general fund is listed on this slide. You will see that we keep most of our funds in the South Carolina Local Investment Pool, which is called SCGLIP. And the reason that we do that, that is the funnel in which we receive our funding from the state. It goes into the GLIP. It stays there until we need it, and then we withdraw. The reason we keep it there is because we earn interest on that money. The county also uses the GLIP too. So that's where all of the state funding is funneled through. Once we need money, we make a request, and then they will give us the money. You'll also notice that we do have some CDs. Our plan is, because at this point they have matured and they're not making, we're not generating a lot of interest on those, that next year we will cash those in and move that money, reinvest that money back into the LGIP. I'm sorry, I kept saying GPIP. It's LGIP to get a higher return, because that's about 4%, and we want to be good stewards of our taxpayer dollars. Next slide. This is our monthly property tax revenue. So please note that this is the revenue generated from the 317.1 mill rate, which includes the amount of the 6 mill increase adopted by County Council. In July, we received $1,941,318 from the county treasurer for property tax in July of 2025. And over the course of the month, each month you'll see we'll receive additional funds from the county. And the last slide is the board's budget. So of the $591,486, $21,435 has been expended to date, primarily on salary and safety monitors at the board meetings, the one in July, which we had shared with the board already. You'll also notice that there is a $50,400 purchase. That is the purchase of, or the dues for the South Carolina School Board Association. And the other areas are the standard areas that the board is aware of. You may also notice, board, that the travel budget for individual board members is slightly higher this year. And the reason for that was because we had an election year, and we had 2 board members that had travel budget that rolled off the board, but we picked up 2 new board members, and they are entitled to their full travel budget. And so that is why that is a little higher than before. And with that, we will move back to the other PowerPoint and prepare for the closing of the superintendent's report, which will be just a reminder to ground us in why we do what we do every single day. It's about serving the students that we have the privilege to lead in our school district. And with that, I will open it up for any questions, comments from the board. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to get this button right. Board members, any questions or comments? Ms. Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I know that we have a great amount of money in the fund balance, and I do understand that is unaudited. And of course, it's providing us with great financial security. Our fund balance is a huge asset for us, and so I know that in prior years that you have presented items to the board on priorities to be able to utilize that. So I wanted to know what strategic plans or what are you all strategizing in terms of presenting to the board for maintaining and utilizing the reserve funds?
So as we look at our needs every year, Ms. Washington, and we'll come to the board when it's budget session or budget season, with, like we did this past year, with requests that we have. The challenge with the fund balance is it cannot be used for anything that's reoccurring. So if, for example, it cannot be used for salary, it could not be used for personnel that are not going to be temporary in nature, because it cannot be used for reoccurring thoughts or reoccurring costs. So as we go through this year, we know we have some challenges that may be coming up, as we've been sharing with the board around enrollment. We will be looking at different options. Fund balance might be a part of that, but we have not come to a resolution at this point to bring a recommendation to the board.
Any other questions, board members? Comments?
Just one comment. Dr. Moore, thank you so much for that report. And I think getting that report monthly would give us an opportunity to stay proactive instead of reactive. So thank you so much for that.
All right, well, we're going to move on it now to item 12.0, agenda items for the next meeting. Let's take a look at the draft agenda for September 23rd, 2025. Wow, September's almost over. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, September is almost over, and I know that brings you great joy because you love fall. Yes. For the rest of us, it's sad. But, yeah, okay. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting is September 23rd. We will have a call to order at 5:30 p.m., followed by 4:30? Thank you. So we will have our call to order at 4:30 p.m., followed by the welcome and pledge of allegiance. Next, we'll move to approval of the agenda. Once the agenda has been approved, we'll move to executive session items, released to executive session, in which we will discuss student appeals, student admission requests into the district's adult education program, employment recommendations and certified releases, receipt of legal advice, litigation update, personnel matter related to the superintendent's evaluation, receipt of legal advice concerning the superintendent's evaluation, and resume public session at 6:30 p.m. We'll then move to a special recognition, the South Carolina School Board Association Champion for Public Education presentation. Next, we will have our public participation, followed by voting on executive session items, which would include student appeals, student admission requests into the district's adult education program, employment recommendations and certified releases, and as needed for items discussed in executive session. We will then transition to new business, no action requested. We will have selection of delegates for the South Carolina School Board Association Delegate Assembly, proposal for elementary attendance line readjustment, and the 2024-2025 Achievement Report on elementary. We will move next to agenda items for the next meeting, which would include the draft agenda for the October 14th, 2025 regularly scheduled board meeting, and then followed by our if needed items of public participation, executive session, voting on executive session items, and conclude with adjournment.
Whoa. So that's going to be a packed meeting. Is there, board members, are there any revisions or additions you want to make to that agenda or agenda in the future? Okay. Oh, item 8.1. Actually, yeah, item 8.1 does need to be action requested for that one because we do have to vote on that. So that would be the only change that I see as well. And then other than that, I think that we are good to go on that. All right. Okay. Well, look at that. We are now down to board, item 16.0, board and superintendent highlights. We'd love to hear what kind of wonderful things you experienced this week, either in school, out in the community. Dr. Scott already gave all of her good stuff, but I'm sure she's got more. So we'll start. Actually, you're first. Yes.
What happened to officers going last? Is that Tanidra? Okay, so let's get started. I do have a few things, and of course, let's just keep Patrick Wilson, who's one of our bus drivers. We lost him over the weekend, as well as Nancy Williams, who's our, what's her title? Senior Chief Financial Officer, lost her sister. So if you guys can please keep them lifted up in your prayer. And as I stated, I have on my Polo Road Elementary shirt. And every time you come, you're going to see me in a different school shirt. Now, let me just say this. Many people thought I'll have on Ridgeview or Rice Creek or Bethel Hanbury or Pontiac. I wanted to, but I chose not to because those are the schools in which I worked, and people know how I feel about them, although I feel love for all of the schools. So let me tell you what I did. I have all 40 of the schools and the centers and the bus hub and a little hat. So I'm just going to pull out. But my nephew Carter, who's so smart, he's like, no, you don't want to do that. You want to have all the elementary in one hat and then the middle school, because what if you end up with all elementary schools? I was like, see, that's why I love kids, because they just tell you, because I was just putting everything in. So today, elementary, next time, middle school. So because I am wearing this shirt, I want to share a little bit about Polo Row Elementary, which is a dual language immersion magnet school with a focus on Spanish and English. The school operates as a school within a school model, serving both traditional students and those in the DLI program. In each grade level, there are 2 DLI classes where students study English language arts and social studies in English, while learning math and science in Spanish. Boy, that was a treat for me to go in those classes, and they're speaking Spanish, and I'm like smiling like, didn't have a clue as to what they were saying. This program helps students become bilingual and biliterate while also building an appreciation for diverse cultures. Polo Row Elementary has been recognized as a National Certified Demonstration Magnet School by Magnet Schools of America, a distinction that highlights the commitment of its staff, students, and families to excellence in education. So let me close with Mission Possible. Board members, we have a challenge from Miss Pam, who's over at Richland Northeast Bus Hub. When I shared the mission with her and told her exactly what I was doing, she said, okay, this is a mission for you guys that we can make possible. She would like on a half day that the board get on the bus and we tour some of the neighborhoods for 1 hour and a half on a half day. So board members, that's the challenge that we are faced with by Miss Pam, Richland Northeast Bus Hub. Shout out to Miss Pam. Thank you so much, and everyone have a good night, and thank you guys for coming. You came on a great night. We're ending early. Thank you for being here.
That is great. And so we accept Miss Pam's challenge. Yes, Joe is not allowed to drive the bus because he has told us in the past about his negligence.
I have a commercial license, okay?
So, but we accept that challenge. And so next up, Miss Porter isn't here, but I'm sure she's going to have a lot to tell us about when she gets back. But Mr. Trapp, negligent former bus driver, you're up next.
Okay, well, I don't have a lot to say tonight. I've been sick for the last couple of weeks. I've avoided all human contact, which is actually something I try to do anyway. But I did have an opportunity. I just wanted the teachers and employees of the district to know that I did, as of last night, I know it was last minute, but I did finish all 8 of the training programs, and I got 100 on most of the evaluations. I definitely got 100 on the safety one because I run a very safe operation. But I feel y'all's pain when you have to. But I actually know what FERPA is now. I think I actually have it down. And anyway, it was actually, I actually learned things, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that training. And I feel like I can go into schools and be a little more comfortable being around everyone. Anyway, everybody have a good night. Thanks.
Okay, next up is going to be Miss Washington.
Want to say salute to our Red Hawk family for all of your hard work and your wonderful presentation tonight. The South Carolina School Board Association Law Conference was earlier in, the last week in August, after our last board meeting, and one of my favorite sessions was actually on AI and education, talking about how far back it was started, and there's some language that the U.S. Department of Education is providing in terms of guidance, and so I look forward to reading some of that. I had an opportunity to visit the Lankford Labs. I had been promising Principal Jackson that I was coming, and so I stepped in over there, so I want to thank the Labradors for such a great visit. Walked into one of the classrooms, and they were studying one of my favorite characters, Calamity Jane, who is full of calamity. And then I went into a fourth grade class, and the teacher was working with small groups, and there were a group of students. They were traveling, doing some work, and one of the students was telling me about the question that she selected. And I said, well, why did you select that? And her partner said, yeah, tell us why you selected that one. And so I love that they're asking the whys, because that's very important. And so I look forward to, now, Dr. Scott, you have laid a very strong foundation. I don't know if I can meet it, but I appreciate you for showing up for the board. But I am going to visit some schools next week, and so be on the lookout to see where we land next. Thank you all. Yes, where's Waldo? Or where's Tamiko Washington? So thank you all so much for tuning in and being present. You all have a wonderful rest of your week.
All right, Mr. Dennis.
So it was last week that I stumbled into Polo Road, and they're like, wow, we're getting a lot of attention. And I know what she said. I got to experience that multilingual class as well. It kind of blew my mind, how they can go from one class speaking Spanish and then go speaking English in another class between math and science. That was amazing for be that young. And then I also want to say thank you, Westwood, for doing what you do. Thank you for my fellow realtors for hooking it up. Other than that, I don't have a lot to say this week, other than keep your family close and love everybody. Thank you.
All right, next up is Ms. Williams.
All right, I feel like I'm standing between the time of going home, so I'm gonna be really brief. I also had the opportunity of attending the law conference. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of information. Really, really appreciate the session on IDEA. That was very helpful in how we as a board can govern ourselves accordingly to help all of our students. Also, I was able to attend one of the sessions for the zoning. That was really fun and interesting to be there. One of my biggest takeaways was when a parent came in a little, skeptical about the zoning, and she stayed about 5 or 10 minutes, and then when she walked out, she was like, oh, I feel so much better now. I have no questions. All of her questions were answered, and it was such a relief for her, even though, she would be affected by it. So thank you to everyone who was on that committee and worked with the zoning, because when we hear responses like that, it means that we're doing the right thing when it comes, to our students and our families. So we appreciate that. Again, thank you for our staff everyone for making the sacrifices for ensuring our families and students and, staff are, experiencing joy. I really appreciate all of that and seeing the smiles on everyone's face. And it's just not something that they're doing for a show, but it's genuine, and I can tell. And again, thank you to Westwood for everything. Allowing people to have our students to get those experiences before they enter the real world, because we don't want to put them out there and then they're trying to discover what their next is. They can discover it while they're in school and have an opportunity to kind of refine and readjust. So thank you again. And you all are the model school for allowing. And so if we reach out to you about how we can, duplicate that in other schools, we really appreciate it. And to our future, or our now instead of our future, because you all are our now. Thank you again for, stepping out and taking the risk to do what is great. I appreciate it, and I feel like I'll be okay when I get older. So again, have a great one. And and last but not least, Dr. Franklin, thank you for all the hard work you've done with our policies, revisions, and your team for looking at reviewing everything. That's how we can have a successful district and running smoothly. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few comments because I've been out visiting schools too. Unlike Dr. Scott, I haven't gotten to all of them, but I've hit quite a few. And I just want to highlight just a few things about it. I went to Langford today, and I actually saw someone from Richland 1 shadowing a person in our school, coming over to learn some great and wonderful things that we do in Richland 2. Not to throw any shade down on that side, but I just want to say I did see that today. I had a privilege at Bethel Hanbury of also going into a PLC, as I already discussed. But I want to give a shout out also to Muller Road. In particular, my mentee over there, Miss Ava Barnes, who is an 8th grader there, she has made herself the unofficial mayor of Muller Middle School. And let me just say, those middle school students, they have a lot of energy at 10 a.m. in the morning, which, yeah, I didn't have. I also went to see the Red Hawks today, too, and I think I saw more school spirit in one hallway than you can imagine. I mean, they were very excited. It was just really so refreshing to walk in and talk to students. It reminds me of why we are here every single day, which is serving our schools, which is why I enjoy visiting our schools. It is crucial because it gives me the opportunity to once again to see best practices and the impact of our decisions that we make, board and I make, every time we come together to do what's right for our students. So I'm very excited about what we are doing, and I just have to give a shout out to a young man at Windsor Elementary. I went there last week, and it was the same day as one of our attendance line meetings. And I asked this young man to explain to me about rounding. How do you round? Because he was working on that. And he explained it, and I gave him an answer, and he goes, I said, am I right? And he goes, no, you're not right. He explained it to me again, and I said, oh, okay, I think I got it this time, and I did it, and I got it right. Well, here's the funny part about it. Later that afternoon at the attendance line meeting, his AP was there for the school. And he comes up to me and said, Dr. Moore, I went and talked to that student. I said, hey, I heard you were talking to the superintendent today. You were teaching her. I heard you were talking to Dr. Moore. It's important to say the doctor part. And the young man said, I did. I taught her about rounding. And then he said, did you say she was a doctor? And he said, the AP said, yes. He goes, and I had to teach her to round? I just love that, you know. So that's just the beauty of why you go to schools and get grounded again. And yes, he taught me about rounding, and yes, I am a doctor. Okay. Last month, I had the honor, and with several of our board members, to meet with our 5 district teachers of the year, the finalists. You know, their stories, their passion, their creativity is truly, truly inspiring. And so recognizing them reinforce why we do this work every single day, and why in Richland too, when we say we are purpose-driven, so students are future-ready, that is who we are. Each finalist brings something unique, and whether it's an ability to spark curiosity in the classroom, create safe spaces for students to feel seen, heard, or building strong connections with families and communities, we are truly blessed to be united with our teachers in the passion for teaching. And that goes far beyond lesson planning. So I just want to remind us that great teaching is not just about content. It is about relationships, encouragement, and belief that every child can succeed. And then finally, thank you, Ms. Williams, for bringing this up. I just want to acknowledge the attendance line adjustments meetings that we've been attending. These conversations aren't always easy. We recognize that, parents. But they are crucial for the future of Richland too. The community's feedback helps us make thoughtful, transparent, and student-centered decisions. So I want to thank everyone, our board, staff, families, and communities, especially Manny and Grant, for their work and for the partnership and for keeping our students at the center of all we do. If we keep students at the heart of every decision, then together we will ensure that Richland 2 doesn't just meet the needs for today, but prepares our students for a brighter future. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, I just looked at the clock and it says 7:55. So I have to do all my things and get us adjourned by 8 because that was one of our missions for the year. Oh, what? Okay, you better make it fast. Go ahead.
Dr. Scott reminded me to let parents know if you did not make it to a meeting, you can go online. It's posted on the district website, and you can find everything that you need.
You almost did as good as my husband in a JT's Kia commercial. All right. Okay. All right. There you go. All right. So I just want to say, one, thank you, Westwood, for coming out. That was absolutely amazing. Two, I want to say to our custodial staff, I love them. I've made some really good friends with the custodial staff. They're always really fun and like they are always smiling and they do such a wonderful job and they're ready to do a quick little dance if you let them. So I just want to say thank you to our custodial staff. I had the opportunity to visit 3 schools. Bridge Creek, Bookman Road, and Lonnie B. Nelson. And it was such a joy to be there. One of the things that I love is that they all were focusing on culture, saying the same thing, so kids had the same language. But also there was some problem solving. One of the classrooms, the smart board stopped working, and the teacher just stayed calm the entire time, and the students were like, we're all calm. Like, these are basically life skills that they're learning, and that was one of the big highlights for me, is that they just weren't learning, they were also learning life skills. So with all of that, I just want to say thank you also to all my board members who braved the Charleston floody waters and Dr. Moore to attend that conference. It was very rainy and it was like up to your tires. Some of our cars survived, some of our Jeeps did not, mine. Nevertheless, we are here. So thank you all for attending, everybody online as well. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair,
Ms.
I
Washington.
move to adjourn the September 9th, 2025 regular board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, the motion's been made by Ms. Washington, seconded by Ms. Williams. All those in favor, well, is there any discussion? Okay, raise your right hand if you are in favor. And then so that's 6 yes, 1 not present. The meeting is adjourned.